Hello, I'm Rick Steiner. Welcome to Lux Life Discovered. Our guest today is Mark Paul with Lighthouse Family Retreats. So, Mark, glad to have you with us.
It's an honor to be here, Rick. Thank you so
Well,
much.
I tell you what, I've talked with one of your local representatives here and then talked with Tim about the organization, and I've been very impressed with it. So, kind of tell me how Lighthouse started and then what the mission is for this organization.
Yeah, thanks, Rick. So Lighthouse was formed in 1999, so we're celebrating our 25th year this year in 2024. And it was started actually by a pediatric oncology nurse who was sitting in a financial stewardship class at her local church. And the question was if you could do anything that you wanted to do and money was not an option or money was not an objection or an issue, what would you do? And her answer was, I would take families who have a child in treatment for cancer to the beach. And so that's what she did. So we had our first
Wow.
seaside retreats in 2000, and we've been going strong ever since.
So, how many families have benefited or been provided trips through this?
But yeah, it's hard to say because it started small and we kept adding and adding. And all I can say is I've been on the team for 4.5 years, and obviously 2020 we didn't have any families on retreats because of
Right.
the pandemic. But 21, 22, 23, we have served an average of over 250 families each summer on our week-long seaside retreats. And we have in the last couple of years added some weekend mountain retreats as well. So this year we will do 21 week-long seaside retreats in Florida, Georgia, and North Carolina. In addition, we are hosting 4 weekend retreats in Colorado, Georgia, North Carolina. Um, so over all of those 25 retreat experiences, we'll serve close to 300 families in 2024 who are living through childhood cancer. And that's our mission. Our mission, very simply, is to strengthen families living through childhood cancer through restorative retreats and helpful resources. And so we're really, really honed in on that mission, and that's what we spend all of our time working towards. And so we're right now in a season as we talk. There are 2 different retreats going on in 2 different states where we're hosting about 20 families who are living through childhood cancer and giving them a break from the chaos of their journey,
Right.
helping them find rest and reconnect as a family.
Kind of give them a little break and a little normal. I can't say it. A little normal life and let them have a good time for a little bit. Yeah. So
That's the hope.
yeah, are families referred to you, or how do they find out about you?
A lot of different ways. Some of it is word of mouth because it is a very unique, exclusive community. And so families, as they're sitting in hospital waiting rooms or clinics, will share their experience with other families. We are also in a lot of the children's hospitals around the country. We have a presence in by providing meals once a month to families. So right here in Atlanta, we have 2 children's hospitals, and we bring a meal to each of those children's hospitals every single month. And we also have volunteers help us pack care bags for children, for parents, for nurses. And so we try to be a presence in children's hospitals. We have a presence in the Dallas Fort Worth area, Richmond, Birmingham, and so there's a lot of different places around the country where we try to serve the families and the caregivers in those hospitals. And through that, we leave our information. We started a podcast in 2020. Since we couldn't do retreats, we got busy focusing on the other half of our mission, which is to build out and develop helpful resources. And so we have a podcast now with over 100 episodes, and we are just now seeing families who get connected to us through the podcast, and so they find our website and they land on retreat through our podcast. So it's a lot of different ways, but mainly through word of mouth, social media, and that presence that we have in children's hospitals all over the country.
Okay. definitely something that appealed to me after I found out about your organization, because I used to volunteer at St. Jude in Memphis every
Yeah.
Friday for a little over 6 years. And so I had, have seen so many families. And, what amazed me is that, sometimes some families would come, but you'd see them like a year or two later. And you would think, well, I thought your child was doing fine or whatever. And another child in that family may have another issue. And so it's amazing how families are affected that you kind of take for granted, but then sometimes more than one child in that family is affected, so or has different things. So it's great to see that the organizations that are reaching out and making a difference in these families' lives, because I mean their whole world has come to a stop. They're everything that their norm is no longer the norm.
Yeah, well, there's a lot there, Rick, that I could speak to. First of all, we love our sister organizations like St. Jude's and Cure and Make a Wish. One of the things that we try to do is to focus on the entire family. Um, what we find is marital relationships are strained. There's a heavy financial toll. I think the average cost of treatment for one child who is diagnosed with childhood cancer is over $800,000. And quite often, one or the other spouse has to quit work in
Right.
order to take the children to treatment. And then you have, and then mom and dad are so focused on the health of the child that has cancer that any siblings kind of get left behind or
Yeah.
neglected, not by design or by intention, but when you're throwing all of your energy and resources into helping your child survive, quite naturally, those other children are going to feel left out and neglected. Not only are they going to be scared that their sibling could potentially pass away, then they're going to have those feelings of neglect. Then they're going to feel guilty
We're having
for
this.
having
Yeah.
those feelings of jealousy. And so it's this cycle for the whole family where the marital relationship is strained, the family's finances are strained, and then the siblings are feeling left out. Not, and again, that's all kind of you know outside of the actual issue, which is how do we help our child make it through. And so there's 12 different types of childhood cancer, 12 major types, and there's many subtypes. But for instance, ALL, leukemia, is the most common form of childhood cancer. When your child gets diagnosed with leukemia, if you're a boy, it's 3.5 years of treatment. I mean, it's just that's what going in. You've got 3.5 years of treatment. For girls, it's about 3 years. And so, and we have families that we serve whose children are always going to be on treatment. There is no cure, and it's just this constant state of managing and trying to help symptoms and that sort of thing. So you run the gamut, you run the range of treatment, length and severity. But what we know is it just exposes every family walking through this to profound risk. And so that's why we're just not okay with that. And we want to come alongside these families and serve each member of the family, moms and dads, the child on treatment, and their siblings. If you come on a Lighthouse retreat, unless the child has lost his or her hair due to chemo, or if they have a port, oftentimes you don't even know who the child on treatment is. And that's the way we want it. We want every
Nice.
child to feel celebrated. We want every child to feel seen and known and cared for. And so that's really a major focus of ours. And what may differentiate us from great organizations like Make a Wish is that we really focus on the entire family. On every retreat, we have an environment for just moms and dads to be together, maybe for the first time, with other couples who don't have to imagine what they're going through, Rick, but they
Right.
know exactly what they're going through. And there's so much healing in that, to be able to sit in a room and hear stories of other parents who are going through what you're going through is healing. And we have trained folks who come down and help lead those parents through those sessions. And while that's going on, we have volunteers, hundreds of volunteers come to every retreat. They raise support to pay for their retreat costs and the retreat costs of the family they're serving. And they come and just they serve those families. They watch their kids, and while moms and dads are in our common ground environment. And it's an opportunity for kids just to be kids, which they don't get. They don't
Right.
get in their normal course of life with the cancer treatment going on. So they get a chance to laugh and play and dance and swim. And it's just a beautiful thing to watch kids be kids, right? Especially when they haven't had that opportunity, some for a year, 2 years, 3 years or more. And so it's just a really beautiful time where we get to come alongside. Our volunteers will also do laundry for these families. They'll clean their condo. They do turn down service. Anything and everything that we can do to provide relief and respite and deep rest for these families. That's the goal of retreat, is to get them out of get them away from the chaos of their journey and help them to find a deep rest and just to feel like a family, yeah, even if just for a few days.
Yeah. And that's important. And what you brought up too is a good point about most people think when a family has a child going through cancer and, one parent is with them, the focus is, of course, on the child that has whatever issue it is. But, so many times I've talked to whether it's a mom or a father that's there with the child, there's also that guilt of having to leave other siblings at home or other children at home. And,
Right.
they know where they should be, but then their heart's where it should be also. So it's a big struggle with families and a lot of things that, come into play that we don't think of normally unless you're exposed to people in that situation because, and you brought out a good point about the marital status of a lot of childhood patients because of their families, because of, some families don't make it through there because that's a ton of pressure, and so I think this is
Right.
really great that they have a chance to reconnect and refocus and get grounded again.
You're exactly right. I mean, if you can imagine, a normal marriage is a challenge, right?
Right.
It's hard. It's
If
hard
it's a
being
good
married
marriage, it's a
sometimes.
challenge. If it's not a challenge,
Yeah, even if it's a good marriage, and then financial struggles are difficult in
yeah,
under normal situations. So if you can imagine, not only one spouse, having to quit their job, that $800,000 bill, over time hanging over them. They never see each other. There's like ships passing in the night because dad gets off work, then he comes to the hospital, and then mom leaves the hospital to
right.
go take care of the kids. It's just this constant wearing away and erosion of the marital relationship. And we really want to be aware of that when we bring moms and dads down to retreat. We want to give them space. We have a date night for moms and dads on retreat. I remember very clearly 2 summers ago, a family, they had their only child. She was 4. She was on treatment for cancer, and she had severe attachment issues. And so, from the time that child was born, 4 years in, mom and dad had not gone out, just the two of them,
Wow.
4 years. And so that Wednesday night, we were able to, through our volunteers, convince mom and dad to leave the 4-year-old girl with our volunteers, and they went and had a date night for the first time in 4 years. And those are the kind of stories that we really feel grateful for, that we get the opportunity to, you know, um, be the conduit through which people can reconnect with each other, rediscover each other, and perhaps begin the restoration process in their marriage. And so it's a really cool thing to be a part of.
That's neat. So, like when the retreats are down, like we're on the Gulf Coast of Florida, 38 area, how do, are, like, is lodging donated by a family or how does that normally work out? Like if someone wanted to be a part of it, how would they do so?
So we are at Topsail Beach and Racket Club for 9 weeks every year. That's 1 week over spring break, and then they let us come and set up our tent and stay all 8 weeks in the summer. We can move in all of our bins and all our
Oh wow.
logistical stuff, and so we're very grateful that they allow us to do that. And but we have to pay. We have to pay for lodging. We have to pay for catering. That's our topsail retreat. Same with our retreats in St. Simons and our retreats on the coast of North Carolina. The one exception is every fall we do a retreat in watercolor. And obviously those homes are very expensive. We couldn't afford to host a
Right.
retreat there. But every year we have about 22 to 25 people donate their homes to our organization so that we can host a week at watercolor. We do that in the last week of September every year. So that's the two exceptions are the watercolor retreat, and then we also do a week-long bereavement retreat for families who have lost a child. We do that at Bald Head Island, North Carolina, which is just a beautiful location off the coast of North Carolina. And those homes, again, very expensive homes. We have those donated as well. So for our two week-long fall retreats, all of those homes are donated. But for the lodging for all of our other week-long retreats, we actually have to pay lodging and catering and all that kind of stuff. So the way our fundraising model works is that your family, you had a family of four, you and your wife and or your husband and your two children can apply to be a volunteer on a retreat. And once you do that, you have fundraising goals to meet in order to attend the retreat. And that fundraising goal covers the hard costs of your retreat experience, so your lodging, your food, all the hard retreat costs, and it covers the cost of our families on treatment, because we do not charge our families on treatment to come on retreat. They have to pay to get there, so whether they drive or whether they fly. And we also have a travel assistance scholarship fund for families who can't afford to get there. But so that's the fundraising model for our retreat, and that covers all the hard costs associated with coming on retreat. But yeah, we have to pay. Unfortunately, we don't have our own facility, and so we have to pay. We have to pay rent essentially every single year to get those places, and but that's how we handle it. And so we have basically two fundraising buckets. We don't skim any money off the top to pay for staff. We have 23 full-time staff and 3 part-time staff, office space, marketing, all the things it takes to run an organization. We have to raise that money in a different way. Right. So that's why we do things like our Gold Party Gala that's happening in September. But we have a team of folks that I'm a part of that is responsible for essentially filling that other bucket, all the resources it takes to actually run an organization. We don't skim anything off the top. So if your family comes and serves and they raise $4,000 towards their retreat, 100% of those dollars are going to go towards hard retreat costs for your family and the family you're serving. And so that's how we set it up. That's how we are able to make these retreats happen. And we're grateful for places like Topsail who just allow us to come in and stay for 8 weeks during the summer. Is just a gift to us. We're grateful for all the incredible generosity out of the watercolor community who has continued for years now to come alongside and say, yes, you can use my home for a week, or they could get thousands of dollars if they were going to put that on Vrbo or Airbnb. Right. And they're kind enough to say, we'll let you use our home for a week for your cause. And so it takes a lot. Takes hundreds of volunteers. We'll probably have well over 1,000 volunteers come on retreat this summer. And so, yeah, our community is the best. I wake up every day grateful to be a part of this role. One reason is because I just love our mission. But the other main reason is just the Lighthouse community is just incredible. I continue to be surprised and blown away, no matter who it is. It could be a different retreat with people I've never served with before, and we just have the best people that are a part of our organization. And again, without the generosity of the greater community as a whole, we'd never be able to do what we do.
Well, talk about the Gold Party for a few minutes. That's is that your major fundraiser, you would say, or?
Yes, it is our only event in that kind of category. Okay. You know, you think about nonprofits doing a gala. This is kind of our take on a gala. We're part of our culture is celebration. It's one of our core values. And so, you know, and we have every week on retreat, we have a party for all the kids called a birthday party. So it's just kind of our culture to throw a party, if that makes sense. And so
you want to make it happy. You want to boost the spirits.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So every year, September is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. And so we do Gold Party in September to raise awareness for childhood cancer awareness and also to raise money for our organization. We did our Gold Parties in Atlanta and Florida on the same night. This year, we're doing them on 2 different weekends. So our Atlanta Gold Party will happen on September 7th, Saturday, September 7th, and our Florida Gold Party will happen on September 21st down there in the Panhandle. And so basically, it's just a night for Florida, we'll have casino gaming tables, we'll have music, we'll have delicious food, we'll have, you know, wine and beer, and, you know, it'll just be a fun night, and we'll We will kind of raise awareness for our organization by talking about what Lighthouse does. We'll have a family that's actually been served on a retreat to come and tell their story. And so it'll just be a great night out, in a beautiful venue. The name of the venue has left my head, so I apologize for that.
Water Sound Pavilion.
But there you go, man. Rick, thank you so much. You saved me, man. You saved me. So yeah, out there at Water Sound, and several of our team will be down there to meet and greet and just talk and get to know folks. And it's just going to be a great evening. And we have different levels of sponsorship. And again, if you think back to our fundraising model, we're not skimming anything off the top of that money that our families raise to come volunteer. And so we've got to fill this other bucket, right? It takes a staff to run an organization. It takes office space. It takes marketing. It takes all those things. And so this night is to raise money for our organizational operational costs so that we can continue to plan, because we work on this year round. A lot of people ask us, what do you do? What do you do outside summer? Well, we're working.
Right.
We're working on,
they don't see the work
on all
behind the
logistics.
scenes.
And
Yeah.
that's exactly right. Exactly right. So we work year round to provide these 25 retreat experiences for all the resources, the podcast, the blog, all the things we have going on, the hospital connections. We also have what we call a community of care, which is an extension of retreat where we have volunteers who say, yeah, I want to go deeper with a family. And so we have about 53 families that are on treatment with cancer who are paired with volunteers who walk with them year round, providing prayer and respite and meals and all the things to support a family outside of retreat, not just for a week, but for the whole year. And so there's a lot of different facets to what we do. And again, being able to plan for the future requires a lot of time. It requires a lot of effort. And so yeah, so this gold party, if you were to come alongside and sponsor for gold party, you are providing us with the means needed so that we can continue to grow, because there's 50,000 plus families, Rick, in our country who have a child on treatment for cancer, and that number grows by 50 every day.
Wow.
So we're not even scratching the surface. When we bring nearly 300 families down each year to serve them on a weekend or week-long retreat, it's the tip of the iceberg. And so we have a growth mindset. We want to expand. We're in about 7 markets right now. We want to be in 16 markets in the next 3 years. And we added 3 week-long and 2 weekend retreats in 2024. And so there's a growth trajectory, and we need folks to be able to come alongside us in a generous way so that we can continue to plan and dream for what it looks like. Our vision, our mission is to strengthen families living through childhood cancer, but our vision, where we'd like to get to one day, and it's not going to be next year or the year after that, but our vision one day is to strengthen every family in our country who's living through childhood cancer through week-long weekend retreats, through our resources, through our community of care, through our work in the hospitals. And so it's a big goal. It can feel impossible. It can feel daunting, but we believe that one day it can happen, and we need generous folks to come alongside us so that we can continue to make those plans and make sure our organization has the resources it needs to move forward as we come alongside more and more families each year.
Well, it's definitely a great organization. What you're doing is just absolutely outstanding, because I don't think people realize how many families are affected by childhood cancer. And so that's a staggering number. It really is.
If you look globally, there's about over 300,000 families globally that are living through childhood cancer. It's like I said, it's challenging, it's daunting, it can be draining, it can feel hopeless, but we have a hope in God, and we have a hope in something more than a cure. And we believe that we are called to come alongside people when they're suffering and remind them that they're not alone. And so all of those things give us a lot of energy and hope for a brighter future. And if we can ease the burden of these families along the way, then we want to do all we can to do that.
That's great. Well, since you and I first touch base about being on the podcast, I officially will be a part of your fundraiser here in Florida in September. So I'm very excited about that. So I look forward. I don't know if you'll be here or
Thank
not,
you
but
so
look
much.
forward to meeting you
I will
soon.
be.
Okay, good, good.
I
We
will
look
be.
forward to meeting you and for a fun evening, that's for sure. So hopefully um, we'll raise a lot of money for this great organization and be able to help many more families.
We'll have a live auction as well. I forgot to mention that. So we are busy collecting vacation getaways and golf foursomes and, high-end bottles of alcohol. There'll be a lot of fun stuff. There's a potential that we may be auctioning off a live puppy or two as well. So, I mean, you never know what's going to happen, but we will have a live auction as well. And again, 100% of those proceeds, because all of those items are donated, 100% of those proceeds will go directly to our operational support.
Okay, we're going to put your contact information here. So, and then I wanted to ask you too, what is your podcast? When does it air? Where can people find it?
On Spotify or Apple Music at Lighthouse Family Retreat. Just search for that. We have, like I said, over 100 episodes in the library. We're on pause right now because retreat season is so busy. We're all
Right.
kind of
Okay.
scattered in different ways, but there's over 100 podcasts now out there, and we interview physicians, nurses, social workers. We have people who have walked the childhood cancer journey come in and tell their story, and so we bring in folks. Christy Richards, who is our director of retreat operations, and Chris Woodruff, who is the executive director of organization, are the hosts of our podcast, and they just do an amazing job. Christy is on our team and has been for over 7 years, but she came to Lighthouse because her middle son had leukemia when he was a young child. And so she got to experience Lighthouse from a retreat family side. And then a few years later, got the opportunity to join our team. And now she heads up all of our retreat operations. She's an amazing, amazing person. And Chris Woodruff is our executive director. And so they host the podcast, but they bring in just really, really amazing, knowledgeable people. And I think it'd be a good help. So yeah, anywhere podcasts are, if you search Lighthouse Family Retreat, that's the name of the
Okay.
podcast. And so they can find it on Spotify or Apple Music or any of those places.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for being with us. I look forward to seeing you in September, and thanks for sharing about this great organization.
Rick, I can't thank you enough, man. I'm really grateful for you having me on, grateful for your generosity. And we always are excited to bring a new person into our community. And so thanks so much for coming alongside these families. And I look forward to meeting you in just a couple of months now.
Okay, great. Thank you for your time. And that
Okay,
concludes
take
our
care.
episode of Lux Life Discovered, and we will see you soon. Thank you.